Hey everybody, it is Dom G. I'm back again, of course, with another tutorial. This one is going to be focusing on the Adobe After Effects program. So what we're going to do today is this really cool slide whoosh transition effect. Not really sure what the name of it is, but it's going to consist of using the Rotobrush, which is a tool that is featured in Adobe After Effects. So you don't have to worry about downloading any additional plugins or purchasing any packs to be able to do this. It's going to be quick, simple, and easy. And in order to do this, we're going to have to isolate a subject from a video. So that's going to be really similar to removing an object from an image in Photoshop. So we're going to be able to figure out how to remove a moving particle out of another moving particle, okay? So let's get into the video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open the video that you're going to edit in Adobe After Effects. The video that I'll be editing is Ari Lennox's Pressure music video. There is a scene from that video that I really like that I want to add this effect to. So I already trimmed it. That's why the entire duration of the video is about 5.5 seconds. But there is a section within that 5 seconds that I'm going to edit out. So next you want to just identify where you want the effect to start at. So for me, it's going to be right here, okay? So once you get to your starting point on the Mac, you're going to do Command-Shift-D. When you do that, it's going to separate the video into 2 separate layers. And then you're going to move the time marker to where you want the effect to end. Let's see, I'll probably want it to end about right here. So then when you get to that end mark, you're going to do Command-Shift-D again. So now on this middle layer here, I have the part of the video that I'm going to add that effect to, which is right here. As you can see right here in this clip, on this layer, this is where my effect is going to be applied. It's going to be on that middle layer. And just to make sure I don't alter the other 2 layers, because they are still very important, I'm just going to come over here and lock them both just to avoid any accidents from happening. So then what you're going to do, once you have that isolated, you're going to go to the top. You see this little man with the paintbrush? That's going to be the Rotobrush tool. So we're just going to click on that. And then while you have the time marker on, the layer that's going to be edited, so that's going to be here, make sure that layer is selected as well. And since I locked the other 2 layers, I can only edit this one, like I said, just to avoid those mistakes. So with the second layer, I'm just going to come over here and double click on the video itself. And as you can see over here, opened a brand new window where we will just be working on this clip. Cool. So now you're going to bring the time marker all the way back to the beginning. So it's going to be right here for me. So now that we have the Rotobrush tool highlighted, what we're going to do is just make a mark over the part of the video that we want to keep. So for me, it's Ari Lennox. So I'm just going to swipe through this entire thing. Now, as you can see, we have this little yellow message that pops up here. Sometimes that'll pop up, and that's absolutely okay. It gives you instructions on how to fix the issue so that you can continue with your project. So what we need to do is change the FPS. So all you have to do is go to Composition, and then Composition Settings. And then where you have the FPS right here, it's currently at 29.97, but in order to work on this clip, we need to move it down to 24.032. Now that we fixed that part, we can go ahead and continue on. So of course, once again, with the Rotobrush tool, we're going to come and draw a straight line through the section of the video that we want to keep. In my case, it's going to be Ari Lennox. So I'm just going to go from her head all the way down to her body. Boom, let go. And as you can see, it has made this pink outline over a portion of her. So our goal is to make sure we capture the entire figure, right? So what you want to do is move this pink line so that it is highlighting the entire, or outlining the entire figure. So all we have to do is just click and drag to the edge of what we want to be selected, and it'll do it for us. And of course, we see that it's getting on the figure in the background. I'm going to show you guys how to get around that as well. But the first thing we're going to do is just absolutely make sure we have everything highlighted that we actually want to keep. Cool, so now that we have everything that we want to keep highlighted, we're gonna get rid of the things we don't want. So in order to do that, you're gonna hold the Option key and it's gonna turn the cursor red. So when we are adding, the cursor is gonna be green, and when we are subtracting, the cursor is gonna be red. So when you're removing, you wanna start from the edge all the way up until you want it to be stopped, which is right here. So we're just gonna do this all around like that. All right, so when you're doing your first round of that, you wanna try to do it as perfect as possible, because what happens is for each frame following, the lines are going to kind of act smart and track that figure, okay? So we're gonna have to do this for not every single frame, but you wanna click through each frame just to see the highlights and make sure that they are where you want them to be. What you want to do is come over here to preview. If you don't see preview here, you can go to the top to Windows and then click preview right there. So what preview will do will allow us to move frame by frame so that we don't have to scrub through. So we're going to come over to this button right here next to the play button. It's going to move us one frame forward. When we move one frame forward, you see that slight difference. When we move one frame forward, you can see the frame obviously changed to the next frame of the video, and then you can go in and fix anything that you may see that's wrong with the outlining of your figure with the Rotobrush. You may not have to do this for every single frame, and it is important that you click through each one, but you may not have edits for every single one because the Rotobrush tool is trying its best to track the exact subject that you're trying to keep. Now, as you're clicking through these frames, there may be times where you're trying to remove something with the Rotobrush tool, and it could be like a very small opening, and you may find a lot of difficulty doing that. Don't try to, don't spend too much time trying to remove that because sometimes it's the frame. So if you move to the next frame, you may be able to remove it, and then the Rotobrush will recognize that and remove it from all of the following frames. Alright, so after clicking through a lot of these frames, they seem pretty consistent now. The Rotobrush is doing a great job at continuously tracking my subject. So once you feel like you have a good ground there on your Rotobrush, you're going to come over here to this button right here that is the Rotobrush icon, and it says freeze right after. This is just going to solidify all of those frames and what we are tracking. Okay, now you'll know that the Rotobrush frames have been frozen because you'll get this purple little update right here that says unfreeze to update. That basically means if you go back on the video after you finish editing it and you notice that you should have cut something else out, you'll just come back to this layer and you'll hit the freeze button again to unfreeze it, and it'll allow you to go back and make changes to the Rotobrush. But now that we're done with this part, we're going to go back to our main panel right here, the composition. And as you can see, RE Linux has been isolated. Let's see, we're going to do a quick scrub through, and as you can see, pretty decent. It could have been a little bit better and a little cleaner, but we can work on that as we go on. So now what you want to do is duplicate this layer right here by hitting Command D, right? So it's going to make a layer underneath. I highly recommend changing the name of this layer so that you know which is which. So we're just going to call this one background. And the reason why we're going to call this one background is because we're going to hit this little arrow right here on that layer, click Rotobrush, and delete it, but just from that layer. So the layer above it still has the Rotobrush tool on it, as you can see, because it still has the effects right here, and this one doesn't because there's no effects happening. So now it's almost like we just have that regular looking video again. So next what we want to do is start the effect, right? So come over here to the effects and presets panel. If you don't see this, you can just go to the top, click window, and come right here to effects and presets. So in the effects and presets panel, we're just going to type offset. And you're going to take this second one right here that's under distort, and we're going to drag and drop that and apply it to the background layer. So now that you have the offset preset applied, what you're going to do is move the cursor once again to the beginning of that video clip that you want edited, and you're going to hit the little stopwatch next to Shift Center 2. I cannot talk today. So we're going to hit that little stopwatch, and then we're going to come to the end of that video. We're going to come to the end of that clip that we want edited, and I'm going to do it about right here. And I'm going to take these numbers, the first number here, and just keep increasing it and moving it. Okay? Now, the more you move it to the left, the faster the transition will go. So if you want a slower transition, you might only want to do this maybe 4 or 5 times. I'm just going to keep on going because I do want it to be a little fast. I'm going to see how fast I can get this to move. So we're just going to keep moving. And once you feel like you have moved it over enough, the last time you move it, you want to just line the video up perfectly as if you never moved that background layer. So as you can see, I'm approaching again on RE Linux. So I'm going to make this get as close as I possibly can to lining up perfectly. Let's see, that should be right about here. Boom, right there, okay? So that part's done. What you're going to do now is highlight both of these keyframes here. You're going to right click on it, keyframe assistance, and then do easy ease, okay? So now we're done with that part of the transition. Now what we want to do is come back over to the effects and presets channel, if I can click it, and we're going to type in Directional Blur. It's going to be under Blur and Sharpen. So we're going to take this one as well, and we're going to drag it over to add another effect here. So for this one, you want to start it right before your first keyframe. So mine's going to be about here. You're going to do you're going to do blur length. It's going to be at 0. And then when we move it to the actual keyframe that starts it, we are going to move this blur up, let's say to about 47. So you get that blurry effect happening, okay? The next thing you want to do, as you can see, is giving like a drop blur. And the way I'm editing this video, we're going left to right. So I'm going to come over here in this panel for the same effect, the blur effect. And we're going to go to the direction. We're going to change that to 90. So as you can see now, it's going this way instead of blurring like this. All right, and one of the last things we want to do, just to make sure everything is clean, we are going to go to that first layer that just has, for me, RE Linux isolated. Come down to Effects, we're going to click Rotobrush, and over here you get this little pop-up. So the first thing we're going to do is do Shift Edge. This is going to clean up the edges so that they're not as jagged. And we're going to go all the way to the left until you see the number 100. Boom. Let me actually just type it. It'd be easier that way. And then for feather, we're going to change feather to 10. Just to clean that up a little. And then we can test to see what we have. And that's pretty much that, guys. That's how you do that. Pretty simple effect. If you notice any issues like black bars in the background while it's doing that swoosh transition, just come over to the background layer and look at your effects. Make sure offset is first and then directional blur under. Because if directional blur is on top, it will make your video look a little wonky. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you guys use this really cool effect in your creative projects that are coming up. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, as well as follow me on all my social media platforms, which will be linked below. Also, I am doing a December challenge called 31 Days of Dom. I will be dropping a new tutorial every single day in the month of December at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, covering programs such as After Effects, Photoshop, Illustrator, and Final Cut Pro. So if you're looking to become a design pro by the end of the year, I got your back. Just follow me on my social media platforms and you'll be good to go. Other than that, thank you guys for sitting down and listening to me talk for an endless amount of time. And I really hope I see you next time in my next tutorial. See ya!